Hello everyone, and thank you for clicking on today's video. In today's video, I'm making some biscuits and gravy. I've actually perfected the biscuit recipe, which I am so thankful because before, let me tell you, the biscuits was not fluffy. They was not fluffy, y'all. But I've learned how to make them nice and fluffy and have a great rise on it. So here I have about 3 cups of self-rising flour, and I have a cold stick of butter that I'm grating into the flour. Self-rising flour have your salt, baking powder, baking soda. It has all of that in it. I suggest you use it because it's way more simpler than doing the measurements and, not getting it correctly. So I'm just going to go ahead and grate this stick of butter into this, and then we're going to slowly, lightly fold in the butter with the flour. The whole purpose of then doing it as gentle as you possibly can is to make sure that all the butter doesn't melt from the heat from your hand by working the dough. Okay? Another important step, you guys, is that you have cold water. You want your water to be as cold as possibly can. That's why I have ice cubes in my water. So the cold water, the cold butter, and the dough will hopefully retain the butter with everything being cold. You could even chill your bowl, before you use it. Now, before I was just cutting in the butter into my dough, into my flour, and I didn't have a great rise on my biscuits. So I just started grating it, and it came out perfect. And here's my little helper, my little baby. He wanted to help mommy make biscuits. Yes, biscuits is one of his favorite things. So I'm just slowly incorporating the butter in the dough and trying not to do too much to make sure that the butter doesn't melt too much. So we are going to add in the water slowly until, little by little, until your dough comes together. You don't want to just go ahead and dump all this water in there. It won't, then you'll have to, if it gets too wet, you're going to have to add more flour, and then you're going to be working the dough too much. You just want to add a little bit in there, get it forming, going a little bit, then add a little bit more and get it forming, going a little bit, okay? Another thing, you guys, depending on how big you want your biscuits, I'm using a bigger biscuit cutter, so that's why I use more flour. You could just use 2 cups of flour. I used 3 because I wanted larger biscuits, okay? So that's why, and I'm using a bigger biscuit cutter. I don't remember the size of the ones that I have. You can see my son over there taking them in and out, but mine is on the larger side. So here I'm just I'm just slowly trying to get the dough to get together, to form together. I'm trying my best not to work it too much. You want somewhat of not a very dry dough, but a little moisture to it. And then after we get it all incorporated, we're just gonna let it rest for a little bit. It doesn't have to rest like for a long time like you're making bread, but just let it rest, let it sit for a little bit, okay? So now I'm just going to wet a paper towel. I'm going to cover this and put it aside, and we're going to get started on our biscuit gravy, our sausage gravy. So just cover it. If you have a towel, cover it. You don't have to damp it. Paper towel, that works fine. So I have a roll of breakfast sausage, black pepper, sage, thyme, some Tony's no salt seasoning, and some salt. And you're also going to need some poultry seasoning, some milk or cream or whatever you want to use, and some flour. Oh, I forgot. You're also going to need some butter. So we're just going to go ahead and brown up our sausage. And then we're going to go from there. So, you guys, a part of my clip is missing, and that's me cooking off my flour because my storage on my phone was running low. So I think I just ended up missing half of the clip. But here we're going to cook our sausage. We're going to take it out. I'm going to use the same pan. If you want to rinse it out and do all of that, do it in a separate pan, then you do you. I'm going to leave it in the same pan. I'm going to take out my sausage. We're going to use the same pan. We're going to add some butter to the pan and then move from there. I just put about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of this no salt seasoning on there just to give the sausage a little extra flavor. Now, you know these sausage already have salt in it, so I didn't add any salt because you don't want things to be too salty. We're going to add more flavor to our gravy instead of all of this flavor into our sausage because the sausage is flavored already very well. And that was just about a quarter teaspoon of sage that we put in there. All right, guys, so now I'm just going to transfer my sausage, my cooked sausage, to another pan, and I'm going to go in with about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of butter. We want some good amount of fat to create our roux for our sausage gravy. Make sure you don't burn your butter. So I'm just melting it, and then I added about a quarter cup of flour, and I cooked that off so the flour doesn't have any raw. I took about 2 to 3 minutes to do that. Here I'm adding in my almond milk. Now I'm doing it slowly, a little bit at a time. If you have a whisk, then this will work better. Mine is broke. So I'm just doing it on low heat and taking my time and mixing this and adding my milk and mixing and adding my milk. It'll eventually come out smooth as you want it to be, but if you have a whisk, it's a faster process. So just take your time and make sure your flour is dissolved with the milk and your gravy is getting thick without having any lumps in your gravy. Just take your time. If you do it on low heat, you'll be fine. If you're doing it on high heat, sis, bro, I don't know what to tell you. You just got to take your time with this, okay? I forgot to put in there a disclaimer, y'all. I am not American. I am Jamaican, but my husband's American, and this is one of his favorite recipes. And I also love this. So I'm trying my best to perfect this recipe, and I finally perfected. So if your parents, grandparents, whatever know a better way to do this, follow their recipe. This is just trial and error, and I wanted you guys to see what I came up with. So I perfected this for me and perfected it for us, and we really enjoyed this, okay? So I added in some sage, some poultry season, and you want to take your time and work that in, work that in. And all of this is to taste. So I'm going to go with a quarter teaspoon of each. And then we're going to add in poultry season, and you want to do about a half a teaspoon. I add a little bit more of the poultry seasoning. So just try to incorporate all of that into the gravy. Make sure everything is blended out nicely, and you have no lumps. This is where a whisk would really come in really well, and get everything to be all nice and evenly and not clumpy. So, like I said, if you have it over a low heat and take your time, then you wouldn't have any mistakes. So add in a little bit of everything, a little at a time. Here's our sage. And we're adding in back our sausage. And it's already getting thick, as you guys could see, but it's gonna be really nice and thick and rich with that sausage. Once we put that sausage in there, you can see the thickness of it, and it's gonna go so well with our biscuits. Oh, I forgot to say, you guys, I baked the biscuits on 475 for about 10 to 13 minutes. Now, this is all depending on how hot your stove gets. I'm sure gas gets hotter than electric, and I have electric stove, and all electric stove is not created equal. So I baked it on 475 for about 10 to 13 minutes. In between there is the soft spot. We're going in with our Tony's no salt seasoning, and then we're going to add some black pepper and salt. And the salt is to taste. The salt is to taste. So you want to taste it. If you need more salt, you want to add. And you guys, you don't want to have your fire blazing underneath this. We need to control the temperature of the fire. Take your time, and so you don't have your gravy bubbling thick thickening up too fast. Just take your time. So you want to cook this after you add in your sausage and all your seasoning. Cook it for about 5 to 7 minutes because I've been cooking this for about a good 10 to 20 minutes doing each stuff. So here we're going to cut out our biscuit, and you want your dough to be about 1 inch thick. You don't want to be pressing it too much, doing too much work to it. So I want to roll it out to be about 1 inch thick, and then we're going to use our biscuit cutters and cut them out. Like I said, I'm baking this on 475 for 10 to 13 minutes, and you want to check it at 10, see how brown you are. You know where you're at. If you're browned, your top is brown, you rise really well, you can take it out. I baked mine for 13 minutes because it needed to go a little bit longer, so I added some more color to it. Now, my cutter, you can use either side. I don't know the size of this one, so I think I got maybe about 8 biscuits out of this dough. And if I use about 4 cups, I could get about 12 biscuits. So we're just going to go ahead and cut them out and put them on a greased bake sheet, or you got a cast iron skillet, you could use that. Just make sure that they're close together, which will help them rise really well. That's another thing I learned. You just got to make sure that they're close together, which will help them in the rising process. Just don't try to do too much with this dough. Don't try to handle it too much. Fold it back up, get it back into a nice ball, and we're going to roll it out a little bit and cut out. I think we get another additional 3 biscuits from this, maybe 3 or 4 biscuits from this. Just take your time with the dough, you guys, so we don't lose a lot of the butter that makes everything so nice and flaky and buttery. Just don't try to don't press on it too much. Don't work the dough too much. All right, you guys, this is our last biscuit. And like I said, we're going to bake it at 475 for 10 to 13 minutes. And after it comes out the oven, we're just going to brush it with some melted butter. And that's it. Look at those biscuits, you guys. You cannot tell me they don't look so delicious. And they were light. They were fluffy. Oh, they were just so delicious. My baby, he had about 3 of them biscuits. But we enjoyed this with the sausage gravy. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. I thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much to my new subscribers. Thank you so much to my old subscribers. I appreciate you, each and every one of you guys. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider subscribing. It costs you nothing, and you will help me out so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you again. Bye.